Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America and Crybaby Jimmy Kimmel. He's at it again. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. And if you are not watching us on YouTube, go to that address in the lower right-hand corner. It's youtube.com/@ExplainAmerica. And when you get there, please hit subscribe absolutely free. It really helps us out. Jimmy Kimmel is your typical liberal Hollywood weak-kneed, I can't use that word, but he's not a tough guy, right? He's a beta male. Can I say that? He's a beta male. And he fought tears the day after the election, fought tears because Donald Trump won. And he said, everybody's upset today. Well, no, Jimmy. No, those of us who voted for him were not upset at all. We were thrilled. Now, we may have been crying, but those were tears of joy. And then they were tears from laughing at you crying. So there's two reasons why we would have cried, joy and laughing at you. Neither one of those things makes us unhappy. We're very happy. So when you say everybody was devastated, no. Everybody in your little bubble in Hollywood, California was devastated, sure. But those of us in the real world, those of us who live life normally, well, we were thrilled. That's why he won in a landslide, Jimmy. I don't know if you saw the numbers, but through your veil of tears, maybe it was tough to see them. But it was massive. It was a landslide. I don't care what Lawrence O'Donnell says. It was a landslide. Now, I'll get into why people are saying it's not a landslide. They're pointing to like Reagan's 49 state victory. You're never going to see that again. This country is too divided. You're never going to see that again. I can't predict the future, but I would love to see it. I would love to see that kind of unity again, but I don't foresee that being a thing. Anyway, Scott Jennings, one of the few bright spots on CNN, he spoke about the Jimmy Kimmel thing, and well, he humiliated him, and that was also hilarious. I want you to watch this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Maher's the only one who kind of came out of
Maher gets it. The rest of these people have become pathetic. They stopped being comedians and they started becoming political activists. Jimmy Kimmel out here crying. It's pathetic. And so my question is, if you're going to have a late night comedy show, at some point people might expect it to be funny and not just a constant political screed against one party. And I don't know that this activism for 4 more years is sustainable if you're going to market something as comedy, but the actual product is nothing more than sort of lowbrow political activism.
These people represent the way a lot of people feel. Right. So it would actually be interesting if the Trump folks could actually make us feel like we're not going to take away your rights. And that doesn't make sense. You think it doesn't make sense. A lot of people think that actually makes sense. That is the way a lot of people
feel. That is their audience.
Is that their mission, to be activists and not comedians?
Well, sometimes the comedian does stop telling jokes and say serious things. And generally, a real comedian will have a serious moment in an hour-long set where I'm talking to you as a human to human, and then come in with a joke. But yes, comedians absolutely have the right to say serious, real things about the world. That has been a part of comedy forever, that we can say things that the average person wouldn't say.
Just one other point. During the Biden years, there was nobody that provided more comedy fodder possible than Joe Biden. He was a walking...
He was made fun of.
He was absolutely not.
He was
left
all the time.
alone. Harris was left alone.
No.
They got nothing. They didn't get 10% of what they deserved.
He's too old. He doesn't understand. He seemed like Gerald Ford, the way they portrayed Gerald Ford.
SNL never got Biden right until Carvey came in the last couple of weeks.
They roasted him at the White House Correspondents' Day.
I think comedians actually have a different problem here, which is that I think people are a little bit bored of Donald Trump. In both directions, and I think you see this in the frankly in the cable news ratings. You see it in circulation numbers and subscription numbers for publications that are not the New York Times. I think that the level of sustained interest, not just outrage, but just interest in following day to day, who did he fire today, that kind of stuff, I think is a lot lower. And I think it's not just a problem for news. I think it is a problem for the late night shows. If the late night shows were broadly of interest to people who can't stand Donald Trump, their ratings would be a lot higher than they are right now. And so I think that, the part of the, if you're a comedian who does not do a daily show that needs to be keyed to the news, I think the solution is that you are probably less political than comedy has generally been over the last few years, because I think people are exhausted.
People might also want an escape. And also, given that Elon Musk kind of lost it about Dana Carvey's impression of him this weekend, it's not going to go over too well with this new crowd.
No. Look, I don't watch late night, except for your show.
That sounded like an admission.
But I do think that even if you're a comedian who spends all of your time making fun of the world, there is a certain seriousness with which you have to take this period in American history. And when a guy like Donald Trump comes around and says he wants to terminate the Constitution and be a dictator on day one.
Never happened.
Yeah, well, he tried to when he tried to overturn the last presidential election. I was there for that, so that definitely happens.
He said he would be a dictator only on day one.
Like you give
whatever that meant.
Right, that's all you need.
That's what comedy.
He's the only one telling jokes
in the
in this
best of
election.
time, in the best and the worst of times, what comedy does exceptionally well is tell a story about who we are as an American people. One thing I will add in before we go to break is that I think that we are actually going to see a significant rise in the amount of comedy that is directed at the left and at the Democratic Party, because comedy at its best is about punching up, not punching down.
Well, yeah, and I'd be curious to see if some of these sort of right-wing comedic stars
Which late night show has the best ratings?
We got to go, everyone. Stay with me.